everybody, and welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Dave Riedel. I'm a movie type person. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
And my name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I, too, am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
Indeed.
Yes.
So we are a duo again this week. Evan is off, and he will be back next week. Looking forward to that. If you're wondering why, for once in my life, I sound kind of somber, it's because we just talked about our Patreon bonus episode a few moments ago.
Oh, boy.
And the movie Mysterious Skin was the subject. It was in a roundabout way. There was a tie, and so we had to roll a die, and Mysterious Skin won, and then we watched it, and oh my God.
Yeah, without knowing what it's fully about.
Yeah. I mean, I knew what it was about, kinda, going in, but I did not expect what I got. Yeah. And I don't think Megan expected what you got.
No. I just knew it was about two guys, and having different experiences from the same town. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anywho.
I mean, I saw Greg Araki's name when I should have known. All right, well, it's going to be
intense.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good conversation. It's kind of, like this. We're kind of subdued a little bit.
We were very subdued.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing for both of us to be subdued.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to try to pick it up here when we talk about our two movies tonight. We're going to be talking about the Mumble Gore, that's their word, not mine, feature Sweet Relief, and Ava Victor's film Sweet Baby. First, we're going to talk about Sweet
Sorry,
Relief.
Baby.
Sorry, Baby. Not Sweet Baby. Sweet Baby, yeah. That's what you call your infant. You're like, oh, you sweet baby. Mm-hmm. There is a baby in Sorry, Baby, though. But Sorry, Baby means something different. I was worried that it was going to mean like, sorry, baby, I dropped you. It doesn't mean that, thankfully.
Oh,
no. Anyway, let's get started with... Was it called Sweet Relief? It's not called
Sweet
Sorry
Relief.
It's called Sweet Relief.
Sweet Relief.
That would be amazing if I just switched, this week it's Sorry Relief and Sweet Baby. Those are the two movies. No, this is Sweet Relief. This is, it resembles a movie. It has a writer and director, Nick Verdi. It stars some people. And it is, in the words of the studio, Art Brut, Mumble Gore. If you've heard of Mumblecore, that was, who would you say? It's Joe Swanberg and early Greta Gerwig and
maybe the Duplass brothers.
The Duplass brothers to a degree. Yeah. Super low budget, smaller stories. In the cases of Greta Gerwig and Joe Swanberg and the Duplass brothers, pretty well acted. Not always.
And written. And
written, yeah. Not always knocking them out of the park, but doing a pretty respectable job on the whole, I would say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mumble Gore, on the other hand, I think I said earlier that this sort of resembles a movie. So let me read the one sentence IMDb summary. And when we go through this, Megan.
Yes?
I'm going to try not to be an asshole.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
I'm not sure. Oop, I feel the energy ramping up. Okay. So here's the...
I just know how feisty you can get.
Well, there are some choices in this that are mind-boggling. So let's read the one sentence IMDb summary, which is also not great. A woman's dangerous inclinations, a sadistic child killer, and a panic surrounding an online murder challenge reveal the insidious violence of a small New England town. I mean, insidious? I mean, it started by a meme.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure I would use that word.
No.
I mean, that's the marketing, though. That's not.
And for one sentence, when you have three what start off as disparate narratives, it kind of, I guess, isn't okay.
Who's the woman with dangerous inclinations? Is that the girlfriend?
It's Jess, yeah.
Who's following the wannabe cop?
The hiker who, is with the boyfriend, and then she's following him. Yeah.
I mean, not that I would want to go through what she goes through, but she does end up relatively more okay than the other characters. I mean,
does she though in the end?
Well, she's probably going to have some kind of lasting traumatic brain injury, I would guess, which is not good.
Right.
But,
yeah, but I guess you're right. But comparing to the other characters, yes, she is probably better off.
So this movie opens up with these 3 high school girls talking about this. I guess it's a meme going around where you have to say who you want to kill or to die. And she badgers her 2 friends, and they're finally like, one of them finally like, fine, my babysitter, because like she always sucked and she was mean, whatever. And then the other girl says, oh, my ex-boyfriend, because he cheated on me. And then you don't see the the interrogator's answer for quite a long time. I think they reveal that at the end, but she says, oh, my brother's girlfriend, because like she sucks or whatever.
Right.
Meanwhile, except for the cheating boyfriend, there is no indication that any of these people actually suck.
No.
And I really thought that we were going to, and the whole thing is controlled by an unknown person who wears like an evil rabbit mask.
Yes.
Which the scene that follows the opening scene, I think, is the first murder, is it not? I don't remember anything happening in between.
I think so. Yeah, it is.
So they're going to kill the babysitter, I guess.
Yes.
And babysitter lets in, her old babysittee. I don't know. And, the kid is crying hysterical. And I didn't really know where this was going because I was like, because I didn't know it was the babysitter that she was going to see. And I thought, maybe she's been traumatized by the rabbit guy, or one of the other girls tried to kill her or something. So I wasn't so this moment like worked for me. And then the babysitter rounds the corner and there's rabbit face there. And she's like, bleh! And then
the very technical term of bleh.
Yeah. Rabbit face. Bleh! And then she gets stabbed by the girl with the glasses, and then falls over. And then the other girl cuts her throat, not believably at all, under the frame. And then the girl who was asking all the questions, I remember none of these characters' names, by the way.
Hannah is the one who asked the question.
Hannah's the one who asked the questions.
And I only know that because she is the sister of the boyfriend of Jess, who is following the guy. Anyway.
Whose name I never heard.
Yeah.
Or
and
if I did.
Right. And I didn't know that Hannah was the sister until like the end. And I don't know, maybe you're not supposed to. I don't know.
Well, she walked in, I thought, when the boyfriend was there.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably a failing on my part.
But
anywho, yes.
They kill the babysitter, and then Hannah is clearly like kind of bothered by it too. But she also, she like says to the main girl, like, oh, now you got to wash your hands, and they get out of there. Oh, and that girl is supposed to kill Hannah at the end. I just remembered because I couldn't remember who Hannah was.
Yeah, Hannah was the one who asked who was asking
all the questions.
Yeah.
And then the babysitter killer gets the note that says you have to kill Hannah or you die at the very end of the movie from Rabbit Face.
See, I thought Hannah got that note anyway.
Was that? Hannah had to kill herself?
No, I thought it was like, Hannah, you have to kill or you're going to die.
So was it Hannah? I don't remember.
Because Hannah was the one who gets the note, and it has like the rabbit guy puts his hand over her mouth.
Okay. We never learn who Rabbit Guy is, do we?
Not that I recall or
Which
picked
is
up
fine.
on.
That's
no, totally. But like, unless I missed something big, a big clue, no, we don't know.
Well, I think you were supposed to think for a while maybe it was the high school teacher, but I don't think it was the high school teacher, by the way, who is the guy who hits on Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs when he says, you ever go out for cheeseburgers and beer? Are you hitting on me, doctor, or whatever? Yes. That scene has always cracked me up. So then we go with Hannah's brother, and he goes over to their mom's house, and he's like, "Mom, you're fucking weird, and you're driving a wedge between Hannah and me, and like you're telling her that like my girlfriend has stolen me away from her." He's like, "And that's fucking weird," and that is fucking weird, by the way. But her mom has gone down like the fucking Facebook conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
Yes.
There's a rabbit. I wonder if that's like supposed to be the connection in the
probably.
maybe.
Yeah. I think you're right, actually.
Yeah. So then the boyfriend whose name I don't remember.
Nathan? Is it
the
Nathan?
Brother. Nathan? It could be.
I think it's Nathan.
I mean, his name may as well be like
yes, it's Jess and
guy.
Nathan who are the couple. Yes.
Right. And Hannah is Nathan's sister. Okay.
Yes.
Right. It's all coming back to me, sort of. By the way, I should mention that the only person on IMDb who has a photo with their name is Paul Lazar, who does play the
high school
science teacher,
right? Or yeah.
And was in The Silence of the Lambs. So, I mean, that doesn't really, I mean, there are non-famous actors in movies all the time, but
no, but this is, I think it actually is worth mentioning because this is a very low budget production with like very new actors.
If you didn't know it was low budget going in, you're going to figure it out in the first 30 seconds. So, although I will say sound design above average for super low budget movies. Not great by any means, but also not
not horrible, but
in
not
the same,
good. It's very inconsistent.
In the same scenes, the quality of the audio doesn't vary. It does vary from scene to scene.
Yeah, that is true. Yes. I 100% agree with you.
So that's kind of like they got themselves halfway over the hurdle.
Yes.
Like, can we get the hurdles a little lower, please? Let's do a 55-yard hurdle instead of 110. So Jess anyway sees this guy who pretends to be a cop, or he's like a CI, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's a CI.
He's a CI, but he
does say like he tells some people he's like a sergeant. So
yeah. So he follows Jess. Jess and Nathan are on a hike, and Nathan's like, "I want to go home," so he goes home, and Jess goes for a swim, and then she sees the weird CI cop guy, and she follows him through the woods, and now this is one of those things that, like, why is the duffel bag with a decaying body in the wood? Like, why did he put it there? And then why did he move it to his car? Like, why is it there?
I don't know.
Just so that he can like use it later to store Jess in when he beats Jess with a nightstick?
Maybe. Or for Jess to see it in the woods and then that spurs her to follow him.
Because he does figure out that she's been following him, and that is, I think, why he goes to attack and kill her. But I guess
I think so too.
Because I don't know that he's connected to Rabbit Face. Like, there isn't an indication that he is.
Right. He could be, but I don't think he is.
Right. Yeah. So, is your head throbbing yet, ladies and gentlemen? Because I also just want to mention, I saw this in the credits, that Nick Verdi, the director, plays The Shape, who I'm assuming is Rabbit Face. And look, John Carpenter is not the world's greatest director. In fact, he's directed some pretty poor movies, but the movies that he's made that are good are really good.
They're masterful.
And we do not pay homage to John Carpenter by listing ourselves in the credits as The Shape. We just don't do that. That's all I'm going to say about that particular thing. So, you follow Jess forever. I mean, I think her storyline of her just like following this guy and then also pretending to be a cop I think that goes on for like a third of the running time. I think it's a 30-minute chunk.
Yeah, it's a bulk of the... I would think it's even longer than that possibly, but it's a lot.
Quite a detour.
Mm-hmm.
Because she doesn't get killed by Rabbit Face, although the girls do show up to kill her.
Yes, they do.
Because they somehow know that fake cop guy has got her in the trunk of his car, but there's been no indication that any of them know each other.
Right.
So, unless I missed something, I mean, I do have to tell you, this movie did not exactly hold my goddamn attention.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's fair. I was going to say, but wait a minute. So he kills kids, but I think he's killing like teens. Not that that makes it any better. But then he kind of is like weirdly friends with that teen, and maybe that teen knows them. So maybe. That's the connection.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, the movie ends with like a 5-minute shot of fake cop just almost passing out from his head wound that Jess gets him. So he beats Jess, puts her in this bag, throws her in the trunk, takes her to like a gravel parking lot, gets her out of the bag. She comes to, finds a tire iron in his trunk, and
goes to town on him.
Beats him severely. And then the 3 girls from the beginning of the movie show up, and then Jess kills all of them. Yes. Swiftly, I may add.
Very, yes.
With rather ruthless precision. Hannah getting it particularly terribly. Yeah, and then she just wanders off. You never see her again, I don't think. And the movie ends with the fake cop like sitting in the forest with his high school friend, and he's just almost passing out. And we stay on that, you say 3-4 minutes?
Yeah.
We stay on that shot?
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a problem with low budget movies. I like low budget movies when they're done well. I do wonder how you can spend 87 minutes exploring an idea that only really needs 20 minutes to be told. I mean, there's nothing to this story. And the Mumblecore movies I remember, not a lot happens in those movies. But the characters on screen are characters you kind of want to watch. I don't want to watch any of these people. Every character in this movie is a fucking asshole, with the possible exception of Nathan, although he's kind of a dick too.
Yeah, he's annoying.
I mean, I guess the babysitter's probably not an asshole. I think that the kid probably remembered wrong.
Right. Maybe didn't like being told what to do or to go to bed or whatever.
This is just one of those things. This is like, I don't even understand what the goal of this is. Other than, I mean, if your goal is just, hey, let's make a movie, then congratulations, you did it. But like, what the fuck is this? This is what I meant when I said I'm going to try not to be an asshole.
Yes. I feel like I'm the wrong person to answer that question because this didn't work for me at all.
Yeah. Nothing about this work except the first few moments of the babysitter scene.
I will say, though, I think this is such an enticing premise.
It's a good idea.
It's such a great idea.
Really good idea.
Yeah, it really is. And it's funny, I read a really great review at Dread Central, which said that if the movie had stayed on the 3 high school girls instead, that arguably or possibly could have been a much more interesting film. And I agree with that. I think that's the hook of it, the murder game. That is a really enticing angle. And I wish it had stuck with that. And I don't feel like these sort of disparate threads really come together. Like, yes, they do come together, but it feels kind of ham-fisted. It doesn't feel like they really come together in a way that makes sense, or in a way that's kind of shocking, or in a way that's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is how they're all connected.
Yeah.
So that I had issues with. I had issues with the writing. I didn't care what was happening on screen at all. This so did not work for me. And it felt like with the whole murder game element, it was very much inspired by or trying to evoke Jane Schoenbrun's We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Yes.
Which is such a weird and heartbreaking and beautiful film. And that really captures the obsession and isolation of being obsessed with, memes and online games and all of that. And so I really, So when you see like a brilliant film like that film, which I just love and adore, I get where this was kind of inspired by that, but then it just doesn't work in comparison. So yeah, this did not work for me. I will say it was kind of interesting to hear on screen someone said, "Oh, I'm coming from Belchertown." And I was like, "Belchertown? That's Western Mass." And then the guy said, "Oh, are you off to Springfield?" And I was like, "Holy shit, we're in Western Mass." And then I looked up the filming locations. And yes, this was filmed in Amherst. This was filmed in Florence. This was filmed in various other locations, like I think East Hampton. So it was filmed all around Western Mass, like where like UMass and Smith and Hampshire College are, and so which I went to college at UMass, and I lived in Western Mass for a long time. So it was kind of funny to see a film that takes place there and was filmed there. So that was interesting for me personally.
It did not hold my interest at all.
No, but I'm just saying, but like, no, but I also simultaneously was like, oh, this is so cool. This is filmed in Western Mass. But I was like, but I want to see more of Western Mass. But maybe it couldn't show more things because it is such a low budge production. I don't know. And would have, needed more permits or permission, or I don't know.
I mean, you think they shot with permits at all?
No, I don't.
Everything looks like it's shot in
like
the director's
lots,
home or the cast members' homes, or parking lots or forests.
Yeah, but there's one bar, and so
Well, I mean, you got to know the bar owner, probably.
Yeah, probably.
You don't necessarily need a permit.
No, right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of wish we could have seen more, because especially that part of Western Mass, like around the Northampton, Amherst area, is really lovely. So.
I do not know my Western Mass very well.
Well, so. I mean, yeah. I have a complicated relationship with Western Mass, but I will tell you, Northampton, great town, so great.
Okay.
And Amherst is great too. But anyway, no, this did not work for me at all.
No, it's not good.
No, and I feel sad saying that, because I applaud the effort any filmmaker does, and especially when it's indie low budget production. But but it's funny, something you said in the beginning. You said that it was only like dragging it out to like 87 minutes when it really was only 20 minutes. I thought that. I was like, this would have been a great short film. Mm-hmm. And it needs, I think, a lot more work to develop it to become a feature-length film.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is that I feel like a lot of this was made. I think you can make movies or songs or art when you're like, wouldn't it be cool if? Mm-hmm. Or what would happen if? Mm-hmm. But I think everything in this movie is, this is so fucking cool. I think that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, you could be right.
That the writer-director is like, this is fucking awesome.
I mean, you have to believe in yourself as an artist, so kudos to them for that.
You absolutely do. Also, considering I just made up that they think that way. But I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on? Didn't work for me either.
Yeah.
All right. Our next movie is not Sweet Baby.
No.
It's Sorry Baby. This movie is, let me get up my notes. Actually, I didn't take notes. What I mean is, let me pull up the IMDb thing. All right. I do the one sentence IMDb summary, which I feel like sort of does this movie a disservice. But I saw this 2 sentences somewhere else. I don't remember where. Maybe it's in the invitation. I don't know. Here it is. Something bad happened to Agnes, but life goes on for everyone around her, at least. This is written and directed by Ava Victor, starring Ava Victor and Naomi Ackie. And I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Louis Cancelemi? The professor guy.
Yeah.
Lucas Hedges is an adult. Weird. He has a couple of scenes. John Carroll Lynch has a couple of scenes.
Yes.
Most of the people in this you kind of recognize, but you're like, I don't know where I saw that person before, but I saw him in something. And so what this is about is Agnes is a recently full-time faculty member at this college where she also received her master's degree in, I'm assuming, creative writing. And so her old friend, her very best friend in the world, Liddy, I like that name, by the way.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know if it's Liddy or if it's short for Lydia or anything. Who cares? It's a nice name. Liddy comes to town. She's like, hey, I'm pregnant. And Agnes is like, oh my God, are you going to name it Agnes? I love that.
They're so cute together.
They're very
them.
cute. They're like the chillest. I mean, I think what really works about their friendship is, you get the ride or die aspect of it without it being like super like, right. You don't
have to hit anyone over the head with it. You just get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's there, but at the same time, it's also just kind of like not showy in that way.
Right.
So anyway, I can't remember why they're all in town, but they all, the five of them who had the same advisor, 1, 2, 3, 5. They all meet for dinner at, I think it's Natasha's house, right? Kelly McCormick.
Oh, that's Natasha. Yeah, Natasha, the one who's kind of, I don't want to say a mess, but she's antagonistic and
well, she doesn't like Agnes for no good reason.
Right. Yeah, they're very competitive, and she's very competitive with Agnes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Agnes is competitive at all. I think
No. Natasha's having her own competition.
Right. Everything that is happening between Agnes and Natasha is happening in Natasha's head. Like Agnes really doesn't play a role in it, other than to be, I suppose, the object of Natasha's ire. Her very this is going to sound like a strange thing to say, but her very aggressive passive aggressiveness.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
I mean, and I loved her performance.
It's great.
I think she's hilarious, and also just kind of like, I feel like I know that person, or I have known that person. So anyway, I can't remember why they mention the advisor at the dinner, but Agnes is triggered by it, and she's like, got to go to the bathroom. And it's right after Natasha said, oh, Agnes, what did you think of blah, blah? She's like, bathroom. And then we, I don't know if we flash back to it right then, but this movie is told in, different time chunks.
Yeah, it's told non-linearly.
Yeah. I mean, it all makes sense when you're watching it, but it's not like one of those movies where you're like, what the fuck? No, you do. So anyway, then you see them all, this is the past. They're all handing over their stories to their advisor, except for Liddy, who's not content with hers. Although she said she's writing about Ted Hughes. So maybe it's not creative writing. Maybe it's, she's doing some sort of deep exploration of his work, which, all right, Ted Hughes, whatever. Iron Giant, yay. I know there's other things. And it's clear that the professor is, I think he genuinely thinks Agnes is a good writer, but I think he also, it's pretty clear that he's not to be trusted. I mean, I don't know. The guy shows up on screen. Well, one, we've been given the clues that he is the perpetrator behind Agnes's trauma. But
well, to be fair, I have to jump in. To be fair to them, to what you're saying, though, you don't really know what's going on until much later in the film.
True. I mean, I feel like, doesn't the assault happen relatively? The depiction of it happen relatively early?
I didn't think so.
Oh, I thought
wrong?
It did.
I should say it's been 6 months since I've seen this film, so
because I saw it like 2 days ago.
Right. I thought it was later in the film because for a lot of the film, I got the sense you don't know. Like, yes, there's lots of clues. You can certainly piece it together, but I didn't think it was like in the first 10 minutes or anything.
Oh, no, not the first 10 minutes, but like the first like a half hour in. You've got another hour of movie afterwards.
I could be very wrong. wrong. Don't listen to me on that regard because I might have the order of events wrong. So
Well, yeah, anyway, Agnes goes, for their meeting to talk about the story. And he's like, oh, I just, his phone rings. His wife's a prosecutor. Their kid is ill, but she's got to work. So he's got to go pick up the kid. And then he uses the kid, who I'm assuming is existent, uses the kid to have Agnes come over to his home to discuss her work.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we hold on the outside of the house through several times of day.
Which is a brilliant choice.
It's a very good choice. And then you just see Alice leave flustered. I wouldn't say aimless, because she has aim, which is to get to her car, which she does. Mm-hmm. And then she goes home and Liddy is there. And I don't remember what she says to Liddy. I think she says something bad happened to me.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. And then she's, in the bath and she's just explaining to Liddy what she remembers.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of like, she's got the 1,000-yard stare, and it's an awkward explanation because it's a horrifying event, I think, but also the way Agnes speaks, I think, is probably very different from the way she writes, given the clues you get in the movie. And actually, when they show her in that one scene teaching, they're reading Lolita.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a different kind of presence than more authoritative, but in a just like, oh, I know the material and I'm your professor kind of way, not like a fucking read Lolita, not like that. Although if someone said to me, fucking read Lolita, I might be like, maybe I should read Lolita. I don't know.
You fucking should. Listen, I love Lolita. Well, not the story, but the writing. It's a brilliant piece of work.
Yes, it is. It's one of those that you, like the kid says in these things, he's like, I just hate it. I hated this story. But he's like, but the writing was really good.
The writing is some of the most incredible, nuanced, beautiful writing I've ever read. There's so many layers upon layers of allusions and double entendres and meaning. Oh, it's incredible. And it's also a perfect deconstruction of a pedophile and a narcissist. So
was English Nabokov's second or third language?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a great question. I think third, but
yeah, I know Joseph Conrad's third language was English, and I feel like you can tell sometimes, but mostly it's fine. So anyway, the bathtub and Agnes, and then they go the following day to a clinic, I'm assuming at the university, so Agnes can be, I guess, tested for STIs and, I think that's what she says. Yeah. I just want to make sure he didn't give me anything.
Yep.
And the doctor, of course, is kind of that prickish, no bedside manner, very
awful.
matter of fact. And Liddy is just not having it, but not in a confrontational way, but it's just kind of like, she's like, you need to change your tone about this meeting.
I just love how protective Liddy is.
Yeah. And so they learn from the doctor that because Agnes had a bath, they're probably not going to be able to do the kit in the way that it should be done. And of course he's like, well, you should go to the place. It's like, I'm sure that she probably knew that, but probably couldn't do that. It's like one of those kinds of things.
Well, also not everybody wants to go to the police.
Exactly. She says later, she has jury duty. And one of the questions she's asked in voir dire is, has anybody here ever been the victim of a crime? And two people raise their hands, and the attorney calls on the not Agnes person first. And he says, oh, I was mugged at gunpoint or something. And then she says, Agnes Ward. And Agnes is like, yep. And she's like, what crime are you victim of? And she's like, I really don't. She kind of dances around it for a minute or two. And then she finally is like, look, the thing that happened to me, talking about it in front of a room full of strangers is kind of my worst nightmare. And you can kind of see the lawyer become more human in that moment.
Right.
And I think that the lawyer's performance is really good.
I agree.
And I think that Ava Victor injects humor in the right spots in this, because the judge is the comic foil in the scene, has like 2 lines of dialogue, and it's perfect, but does it's a sharp contrast between the 2 university staffers who tell Agnes, well, we understand what happened because we're women. And Agnes's response is, what? And then the other one, then the woman who said that looks incredibly pained, and she says, we're women. And then it turns out that the advisor, his name is Preston Decker, which is just the most perfect prick and college advisor name. The assault happened this all happens over the course of 2 days. She gets assaulted. She goes to the doctor in the morning. She goes to the faculty immediately after the doctor, because they say, well, according to the notes, you were assaulted yesterday at like 4:13 p.m. and you went to the doctor today at 8:24. And it's like, what? And then they say that Decker has quit.
Yeah.
Sometime between when he assaulted Agnes and when she's there and them, talking to so that they can't do anything because he's former faculty. And it's like, well, what a nice little loophole for you.
Mm-hmm. How convenient and easy.
Yeah, how convenient. And so, and the rest of the movie, we just kind of deal with Agnes, we watch Agnes dealing with the fallout from this. And we had mentioned over on Patreon, $5 a month, and you get to vote in polls. And the poll you chose this month was Mysterious Skin by Greg Araki. When we talk about that movie is about sexual assault and what happens afterward over the long term. And this is like long-ish term, although John Carroll Lynch has his great scene.
John Carroll Lynch is the best.
Oh, he's so great.
Love him. I know everybody does, but he's so goddamn good. And I love him in this role. I love his
so
scenes.
Great in this role. He is
great.
What I think of when I think of a true New Englander, which is somebody who's not very nice, but he's kind.
Yes. Yes.
He's got that gruff exterior, but when you tell him what's really going on with you, he
understands. Kindest, loveliest, most giving person. Yeah.
By the way, if you don't know who we're talking about when we say John Carroll Lynch, Norm Son of Gunderson. So Agnes is having a panic attack because Natasha tells her, after Agnes has gotten the full-time faculty role that Decker abandoned, Natasha, who's a part-timer, comes to see. It's such a fucked up scene because Natasha's just so... I love this. Natasha comes in and says, well, you were Decker's favorite. And Agnes is like, I don't think he actually even liked me. Doesn't explain what happened to her. And then Natasha says, well, everyone likes you. And Agnes says, well, you don't. And Natasha gets this big smile on her face. But then you learn that Natasha fucked Decker to get like a better, like whatever. And then she says, and he didn't even give me notes in person. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, this guy's even, I already had on the human scale, this guy gets a 0%. Now he gets negative numbers because, oh my God, what a fucking, So anyway, Agnes leaves. She has a panic attack in her car and she pulls into this parking lot of a sandwich shop, which is owned by John Carroll Lynch. And he gets her to calm down because he realizes she's suffering from something, and then he makes her a sandwich and they're sitting outside and he's talking about how there are no benches because there's like a gravel pit next door and those guys are assholes or whatever. And Agnes is kind of explaining in her roundabout sort of way what happened. And he said, well, how long ago was it? And she says, 3 years. And he's like, oh, 3 years is not a long time. And he just, he understands. It's like she says 3 years and he understands immediately. Like, it's pretty clear that she's talking about a sexual assault, but he understands immediately what's going on with her. And he says, well, 3 years is not a long time. And then he says, I love this. He's like, it's a long time, but it's not a long time.
Right.
And I feel like that's the best thing you could say to somebody.
Mhm.
about that when they're talking about like the length of time and I should be getting past this, and you know, and earlier in the movie there's this kind of heartbreaking scene when Liddy says, "Hey, Agnes, don't die this year." And Agnes is
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm not going to die this year. I mean, last year would have been a better, or the year before." And she's kind of turning it into a joke, and Liddy's like, "No, don't,
Yeah.
don't unalive yourself." And Agnes, is like, "I'm not gonna unalive myself." And then she finds the cat, and it's wonderful.
The cat, Olga.
Olga the cat. She's going to buy coffee because they ran out of coffee. And this is back, in one of the flashbacks, and she sees this kitten in the middle of the road. And within the space of like 8 seconds, she picks up the cat and looks at it. She's like, "Well, now I fell in love with you." So, and
Cats are the best.
There's something really endearing about Agnes, even though I think she's objectively a different kind of person even before the assault. And then she's got this, I don't know, it's like she's processing the whole thing all the time, and she's not sure how to talk about it, not sure how she should talk about it, or, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
I've been yapping a lot.
So I am so glad to finally talk about this. So I said I saw this 6 months ago because I saw this at Sundance, and I have been waiting and waiting for this to come out because this is my favorite film of the year. I love this film. I adore it. It is the best thing I've seen this year. I think this is one of the best films on rape and sexual assault. I think it is one of the best films on trauma and how it takes such a long time. But you're right. I think what you were saying about that scene with John Carroll Lynch is so pivotal and so just such a great scene because it takes as long as it takes. There is no timeline. There is no, you should get over whatever it is by this time. And you need to take time to grieve and to heal and to go through the emotions and process it all. And it's very clear. This was clear to me anyway. And then I read in the production notes and I also read a couple interviews that Eva Victor did in IndieWire, and it's very clear that this is a personal story. This is an incredibly raw, nuanced story. And yes, this is based on Eva Victor, their own personal experiences. And they said that they had to get this story out. This was the story, this was the movie they wanted to make before they died. Like if they were going to die tomorrow, they had to get this story out. And I think this is a funny film. And if you know anything about me, I don't find a majority of films funny, like that are actual comedies. So I think it's a very special film and a very observational film and honest film that is funny. But this is a very funny film, and darkly so. I love macabre humor. And this is a touching film, but never feels cloying or saccharine.
It's not sentimental at all.
No, it really earns its tender moments. And I love the friendship between Agnes and Liddy. It is so clear that they are each other's person and that they're in this together and in the ups and downs of life. And I love that I love that it is such a raw look at how trauma can stymie you, and it can really, like, how you can get stuck and how hard it is to get unstuck, whether it is whatever the trauma is coming from, whether it's depression, anxiety, whether it's a trauma from abuse, but very specifically, obviously in this case, it is sexual assault. But I think it's really, really important to delve into how difficult it can be to get yourself unstuck. And I love everything about this. I love the cinematography. I love the visual choice of the house and staying on Decker's house outside while the assault is taking place, and that you know what's happening without having to see it and be triggered by it or seeing something exploitative. I think it's just such a smart choice. The way the cinematography is used in the house, and that was a very intentional choice too, where Eva Victor said that they wanted the house to feel really cozy and welcoming when Liddy was around, but then when Liddy goes away, it would be like a house of horrors for Agnes because she's so isolated and is just dealing with all of her, horrifying thoughts about her trauma and experience. I love Olga the cat, and I just love the cat, and I love their relationship. And cats and animals in general are so wonderful and so loving and are so healing. It's perfect. I think there's so many perfect choices here. And, and I read this interview, like I said, at IndieWire with Eva Victor, and they were talking about how they didn't think they were going to make this movie. They knew they were going to star in it. They knew they were going to write it, but they didn't think they were going to direct it. And then they did end up directing it. And partly it was because they wanted to, but also they didn't think they could. And Barry Jenkins, who produced this, and the other producers really worked with Eva Victor to give like kind of a filmmaking boot camp because she had never made a film, like never directed a film before. And so she storyboarded for like 5 months, and she used Kelly Reichardt's Certain Women to inspire her for her like shot list and to storyboard. And I'm like, Certain Women is brilliant, and Kelly Reichardt is a masterful filmmaker, so could not love that more. And then also Eva Victor shadowed Jane Schoenbrunn on I Saw the TV Glow, and I'm like, I love that film, and I love Jane Schoenbrunn, and apparently they're friends. So anyway, like I think there's so many thoughtful choices in the crafting of this film, from the production design to the cinematography to the acting. I think the performances are great. Eva Victor, I love Agnes. I love their performance as Agnes. I love Naomi Ackie's performance. I love Lucas Hedges in this. I think their relationship, their burgeoning romance,
great.
Right?
Yeah.
Their romance is so good and so sweet. And like when they're in the bathtub together, I love that scene. John Carroll Lynch is amazing. That's a person who should be a bigger star because he's so good. But anyway, I love this. I love the writing. I love everything about this. I love every single moment of this. I think this film is brilliant.
Yeah, this is the best movie I've seen in 2025.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. It's so good.
And should probably get around to telling you that the sorry baby of the title.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. It's so sweet.
Fran has a baby with her Liddy has a baby with her partner Fran, and Liddy carries the baby, and they come for a visit, and baby doesn't sleep well the first night they're there. So Fran, Liddy's wife, is going to stay with the baby, whose name I can't remember. And Agnes is like, no, I'll stay with the baby. You two go to the lighthouse. That's like a thing that a couple should do, you know, which is very sweet. And then Fran is like, okay, don't drop the baby. And then Agnes has this look on her face, just like, not like a duh kind of look, but this look is like, well, she's like, I'm not going to drop the baby. And then they leave, she picks up the baby from the crib, and the baby's like, oh, hey, the baby doesn't talk. This is a young baby.
No, but the face is making like oh, hey.
Yeah. She's very responsive, in a good way. She's a pretty good baby actor, although she does look off camera at like her parent or something, obviously at one point, but you really can't keep a baby from doing that. And then like almost immediately, almost as soon as she picks her up, Agnes puts her down, and the baby starts to get fussy that she's being put down. So Agnes picks her back up, and she's like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. She takes her out to the sunroom that she has in the house. And then she just tells the baby that she's sorry for all the things that may happen to her because she's going to grow up and be a woman, you know? Yeah. And it's just like the saddest, but also kind of like the sweetest, most tender thing too.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And good baby choice for that, because the shots of, you know, the baby in that are, I mean, they mostly stick over the baby's shoulder to Agnes. But yeah, that's what the sorry baby is. It's like you look at the poster and you're like, is the cat the baby? Like, who's the baby of the sorry baby?
Yeah, I love that poster. I love that shot too.
I like how when
the cat.
when she finds the kitten, she brings it home and Lydia's still living there, and she's like, I got a cat, and she holds and she like does the thing where you stretch the cat out to show how long it is. It is hilarious. Anybody who's ever picked up a cat knows what that is. Yeah, I think I'm still making up in my mind what I think of Eva Victor's performance, which I think is largely works for me. But there are some, like, I don't think the moment when Olga half kills the mouse is like the best work.
I
that Eva Victor does.
Oh, I like that.
I like what she does when she gets back to the mouse, when she's running around the bottom floor looking for the bag, which she has put the boots she was wearing when she was raped by what's his face, Decker.
That jagweed dick.
Yeah, she dumps out the boots and she's like, I got a bag. And it sort of is like poetic that, you know, a half-killed mouse that she has to beat to death to put out of its misery would go into this bag after her assault shoes have been in it. And how she papers the window with her thesis because she doesn't have blinds on one of the windows in her bedroom. She keeps hearing noises at night and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Which I think probably could happen to anybody living alone in the middle of nowhere in a you know, house like that. But
but it's definitely going to be heightened, obviously, if you're like dealing with your own demons and memories. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just really well done. And I would even say that if this is not your kind of story, give it a shot anyway. You know, give it 15, 20 minutes. And if you're like, yeah, fuck it, it's still not for me, fine. I mean, you're wrong, but fine. Because this is really well done. It's the sort of like it's kind of like the tenderer version of it's like the reverse mirror image of Mysterious Skin, which we talked about over on Patreon.
Yeah, I mean,
you really can't compare them other than they have a similar subject, but
right. But yeah, Mysterious Skin, I don't know. I guess you can argue it's a kind of hopeful ending, whereas the rest of the film is just so dour and
yeah.
But both films are dealing with sexual assault in a really, really respectful, sensitive way, and clearly from personal angles in both films. But this one feels more hopeful, but again, not in a like a Hollywood ending, not like we're going to tie it up in a neat bow. Like the fact that the ending is on her, Agnes, talking to the baby and being like, you know, these are the awful, you know, you're going to deal with awful things in life just because, but also being a woman, you know, is a very realistic, pragmatic, somber ending, but there's so much hope in this. But again, I said this talking about Mysterious Skin, and I will say it again talking about Sorry Baby. I think this brilliantly shows the ramifications of abuse and sexual assault and trauma and how you are irrevocably changed. You are. But that doesn't mean it's a death knell. It doesn't mean that your life is over or that you're broken or some bullshit like that. It just means that it's going to be harder for a while, maybe harder forever, but you can work through it. And especially if you have people who are in your life who are family in the way that she has Liddy and, you know, has the I think of John Carroll Lynch and The Kindness of Strangers and how lovely that is, but how you can work through things, but you are forever changed by traumatic things.
Yeah.
And I think the film really shows that while still being hopeful in the sense that, you know, I don't want to say you can move past it and then like, that's it. You're fixed and it's over, because that's not it. But
Yeah.
But that there is room to move forward. There is room to heal. There is room to still grow.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think we haven't talked about it, but one of the things I was thinking of is also like the grief that goes along with trauma, because you're also kind of mourning who you were.
Yes, who you used to be, who you could have been. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Well, you know, I'm what they call a deep thinker. I couldn't even say that without laughing.
I know, right?
Yeah, but I think I hesitate to use the word tasteful with a movie like Mysterious Skin, but I think it's told as tasteful as you can tell a story while also being kind of graphic in its imagery.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it definitely makes sense. And I think that is the contrast here, whereas there isn't anything shown. And yet, but to me, that is, I don't want to say it's the better choice. I think it's the better choice, but you know, to each their own. But yeah, it's different. It's focusing on different things. And I appreciate both films. But yeah, anyway.
Well, I think one thing you could take away from Sorry Baby is that maybe on a macro level, the trauma is trauma, you know? So whether you're sexually assaulted or I don't know what else, I don't want to start comparing traumas, but I think one of the things you can take away from this, because you don't see it on screen, is as a viewer, you maybe, if you have trauma, you can more easily put yourself in Agnes's shoes or boots in this case, and then throw them into a paper bag in the closet.
Yeah.
I feel like that is when she does that, she finds the boots and she puts them in that brown paper bag and throws them into the closet, and she slams the door. She says something like, she either, you know, makes an exclamation of like relief, or she says like, they're gone, you know, like, and it's like, yeah, like I noticed from the way she sat down and like she goes into the house and he says, "Could you take off your boots?" And I don't know if that's because he doesn't want to get mud in the house or if he wants to make it harder for her to leave. But first thing she does.
You say that. That's what I thought. It's funny you say that.
Yeah. I just always think about people who make you take off your shoes in the house. Now, I take off my shoes in the house just because I don't want to be like stepping on, you know, mud crumblies all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because this is New England and it rains a lot. But
that's also it's also a very white person thing to not take off our shoes.
Yeah.
Like, and for a lot of people of color, like that's absolutely a no-go. You take your shoes off. And listen, shoes are gross. I get it. But also, there's another thing, like I want to be able to make a quick getaway if I need to.
Yeah, I think that, you know, she sits down on like the third or fourth step down and she has to take a minute to put on her boots, and then you see her make the decision to not tie them.
Right.
You know.
So she can just get the fuck out. Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of subtlety in this movie.
Yes.
Which I really, really, there's a lot of show, don't tell.
Yes.
In this.
Yes, which is so appreciated. It's such a thoughtful movie, but it's so intentional in everything, and you can feel that, you can see that.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it such a stronger film for doing that, for being so intentional in those choices and in those little details that are not so like they're little, but they convey so much.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm so fucking delighted you liked this, because
you had to know.
I did. I told you were gonna like it. I knew it. But it's amazing. I love it. It's the best. It's the best film. It's great. It's beautiful.
It really is kind of towering in its excellence.
Yeah. Kudos to you, Dave Riedel. Bravo. I love that you said towering, because it is.
Yeah, and also just like what an assured piece of filmmaking for a first timer.
Yes.
I mean, I guess when you got the storyboards and you have the script and you have the vision locked in, and then your casting is perfect. I know where I saw the lawyer. She was in The Last of Us this season. She's Major Park, whose son goes in where the
yes.
Yep. One of the few truly borderline great scenes in The Last of Us this season, I think. Has nothing to do with the main cast. Anyway, I have gushed enough. Do you have any more that you want to gush before we sign off? Oh my God.
I feel like I could go on and on for hours gushing about this film, but this is a must-see. You have to see this.
Especially if you are given to indie dramas that are very well done.
Yes. I should say, if, considering that this is incredibly difficult subject matter, obviously, yourself, if this is a film that will trigger you, by all means, don't make yourself go see this. But I will say this is possibly the most sensitive and considerate depiction of sexual assault I've ever seen in my entire life on screen, anywhere, in a film, TV, anywhere. So, consider that, I guess, for what it's worth. But yeah, so don't force yourself, but also this is a must-see film. I will say both. Two things can be true simultaneously.
Yeah, they certainly can.
Yes, but brilliant film. Brilliant film.
Okay, recap. I'm going to speak for both of us, but you chime in whenever.
You got it.
That's a hell no on Sweet Relief.
Yeah, sadly no.
Heretofore known as Sorry Relief.
No.
Well, and Sweet, Sorry Relief, and
Sweet Baby.
Yeah. And then it's an enthusiastic go out and see it from both of us for Sorry Baby. Oh my God,
yes. Yeah. Yes. Love this film. So good.
Indeed. Okay. Well then, that wraps up this episode of Spoiler Piece Theater. Want to thank you for joining us. Want to thank our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you so much for being our sponsor piece patron. We love it.
Thanks, Heather.
Want to thank Otto Clamor, our totes awesome editor, for doing all the great audio sweetening, et cetera, each week. Because I don't know if you know this, I'm actually recording this underwater right now, and Otto just takes all that away. It's crazy.
Otto is that talented.
Yeah. If you want to check in on Spoiler Piece Theater, our website, spoilerpiece.com, you can find us anywhere you get podcasts. If you wanted to rate us, you can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece or go to Apple and Spotify podcasts and tell us how much you think that Spoiler Piece is just the best and it's 5 stars. Like, don't give it like 4 stars. Don't do that. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can always send us an email, spoilerpiece@gmail.com. Or if you wanted to give us a call
at 862-21-PIECE.
Leave us a voicemail and throw down your comparisons between Sorry Baby and Mysterious Skin. I mean, whatever. You could call us and say like, hey, there's a more realistic scene in this movie about adopting a cat. I mean,
Oh my God. I can't wait. See, this is the thing. I never want to watch Mysterious Skin again. I cannot wait to rewatch Sorry Baby. So
yeah. And I think that's everything. My name is David Riedel. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. I'm Dave Sees Movies on Threads, Instagram, Letterboxd, and on Blue Sky, I'm David Riedel.
And my name is Megan Kearns. I write for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast, a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at OpinionSWorld or on Instagram and Letterboxd at TheOpinionS.
That's all true. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.